Good morning. It's election day. The election is finally here, thankfully. We're going to get it past us. I'm very excited about that. I hope everyone goes out and votes or has voted through absentee mail, but go vote. And then get your favorite adult beverage and watch the results tonight. That being said, you know what I'm going to talk about? I want to talk about a fantastic report that I believe came out yesterday. It is the NAR's 2024 profile of home buyers and sellers. And it's a great report. It's so full of data. Now, you can get an abstract or a highlights of that profile. I'll put a link in my notes below. I also did a pretty lengthy LinkedIn post today highlighting the data points that caught my attention. And I provided a link to the abstract of the report. To actually get the full report, and by the way, you can get an abstract of the report in the form of a PDF, like a PowerPoint. I think it's 19 pages. Excellent, beautiful presentation. But to get the full report is $199 for non-NAR members and $19.99 for NAR members. So for 20 bucks, you can get the full report, find a NAR member, have them order it for you, and you get the full deal. But today, I'm going to go through a handful of the key data points. You're going to need to actually look at the report, or at least the highlights of the profile, to pick out what you think are the most important parts. I'll try not to just do a data dump right now, but there is a lot of really interesting things. And then when I'm done going through just highlighting some of the data, I'll tell you what struck me the most. All right, so let's go to characteristics of home buyers. First-time home buyers decreased to 24% of the market. So first-time home buyers are only 24% of the market. Last year, they were 32%, so that's significantly down. Matter of fact, the 24% of first-time home buyers is the lowest market share that first-time home buyers have had since NAR began collecting this information in 1981. So first-time home buyers have a little bit of a difficult time with affordability. The median first-time buyer's age increased to 38 years old. So the median first-time home buyer is 38 years old, and it was 35 last year. And you know what's interesting? I heard a statistic, and I forget who it was from, but 13,000, if we think coming of age for a first-time home buyer is now 35 years old, that's what it was last year. Now we're learning it's 38 this year, but last year it's 35. That 13,000 U.S. residents turn 35 years old every single day. 13,000 turn. So 13,000 people are coming of what we think is now coming of age to buy a home every day. Now that might be slightly distorted because now it's apparently 38. But that seems somewhat high. I mean, your average first-time home buyer is middle-aged. They're not a young person. Now the typical repeat buyer is 61 years old. So the average repeat buyer is 61-year-olds. That's up. Last year is 58. 62% of buyers are married couples. 22% or 20% are single. Hold on. Let me do this again because it's interesting. 62% of recent buyers were married couples. 20% were single females. 8% were single males. And 6% were unmarried couples. So that's really interesting. It's amazing how single female well outperform buying homes over single males. And we've heard this, growing popularity of unmarried couples buying homes, but it's really not a thing yet at only 6%. 73% of recent buyers do not have a child under the age of 18 in their home. This is the highest level recorded of buyers not having children. Interesting. 17%, this is becoming a thing right here, 17% of buyers purchased a multi-generational home for cost savings. 36% bought a multi-generational home for cost savings. 25% to take care of aging parents. 21% to house children over 18 moving back home. So and by the way, there you go. And another 20% for children over age 18 that never left. But that's what you get. That's characteristic of home buyers. There's a few more. 16% of recent home buyers were veterans, and 2% were active duty service members. What you're going to find interesting, I'm going to say a statistic later, I think only 9% or even less, 9% of all volume is VA volume. So we got to see why there's a disconnect between the number of veterans and the VA volume. Here's the thing. Now, 22% of people buying a home, the reason for buying a home for 22% was the desire to own their own home. But for first-time home buyers, the desire to own their own home is 64%. So repeat buyers are like, they're not driven to own a property, but first time home buyers are. Interesting. Now you guys want to see some characteristics of the homes that are purchased? Let's do it. 15% of buyers purchased a new home versus 85% of buyers bought a previously owned home. So 15% of the market was new construction. Now, recent buyers who purchased new homes, here's why they did so. Number one reason, they wanted to avoid renovations, specifically plumbing and electricity. They also thought 31% thought new homes were better value. So there you go. 42% bought new homes because they didn't want to have to renovate in the future, and 31% said it's better value. The median distance between the home that the recent buyer purchased and the home they moved from is 20 miles, and that's down from 2022, which was 50 miles. So 2022 was the pandemic year where we all wanted to go crazy and work from home and work from wherever we wanted. But so we've gone from that 50 miles in 2022 to 20 miles this year. But the historic average is 15 miles. So when I say historic, between 2018 and 2021, the average distance of moving from wherever you're moving from to what you're buying is 15 miles. Now it's 20. The reason how people chose where to live, number one answer, quality of the neighborhood. Number two answer, closer to friends and family. Number three answers, affordability. Now, I think that affordability, I did a post on this last week, I think. We need to change some of our customers' minds and show them that there are some cities that are exceptionally affordable to live in, have strong economies and low cost of living, and we might think about moving there if you want to own a home. All right, here's some interesting stuff on the home search process. Real estate agents helped 86% of the buyers with their purchase. So almost, 80% is a pretty high number. On average, buyers spend about 10 weeks searching for a home, and they typically visited 5 and did 2 other deep dives online using some sort of visual, viewing technology. So a total of 7 homes, 5 in person. 100% or nearly 100% of all home buyers use the internet to search for a home or get information about a home at some point. Here's what they typically were looking at. They're looking for photos, detailed information on the property, and floor plans. By the way, about 59% of buyers were very satisfied with the process, while 33% were only somewhat satisfied. So buyers have pretty good experience. Now, here's where we do pique our interest. So I hope you're still listening because we're going to get some interesting statistics. So 88% of home buyers were made through a real estate agent or broker, which I told you. And here's why people typically use an agent. Number one reason is to find the right home. And the second reason is to help negotiate the terms of the sale. 40% of all buyers found their agent through a friend, neighbor, or relative. This trend is especially pronounced among first-time home buyers who, contrary to what we said about social media, 51% relied on referrals with a personal network. So friends, family, neighbors are still the number one way that people get referred to an agent, by far, contrary to what we think or what we're being told. And then this is always crazy. This number is always crazy. 77% of, most buyers only interviewed one agent. And it's like by a major percent, I don't know what it is, but most buyers only interviewed one agent. Here's something interesting, and keep attention to this number. 88% of home buyers would use their agent again or recommend them. See, here's what's interesting about that number. 88% said they would use their agent again or recommend them, but no more near that percentage actually do it. And it's largely perceived as because agents don't say great about staying in front of their clients, and the clients forget who they are. And we're going to actually get to those statistics in a moment. Now, let's talk about financing the home. 74% of buyers use financing, which means 26% paid cash. First-time home buyers are, of course, more likely to finance their purchase with 91% using financing, while only 69% of repeat buyers use financing. That makes sense, right? 25% of first-time home buyers used a gift or a loan from a relative for their down payment. Interesting, huh? Now here's what I was talking. Remember we said 16% of buyers are VA, are veterans? Here's how it broke down by loan type. 52% of first-time buyers utilize the conventional loan. 29% use a FHA loan, and 9% use the VA loan. Interesting. Now, the share of first-time home buyers using FHA loan has declined from 55% in 2009 to 29% in 2024. And that makes sense because Fannie and Freddie have both low-down programs now that are cheaper than FHA. Here's some interesting statistics on sellers. The typical age of a home seller was 63 years old. That's the highest ever recorded. The most common reasons cited for selling a home was 1, desire to move closer to a family. 2 was the home was too small. 3 was the home was too large. And 4, the neighborhood was becoming less desirable. Makes sense. The median number of years the average seller owned their home was 10 years. Same numbers last year. Now, back in the 2000 to 2008 era, the average tenure was only 6 years. So the tenure is expanding. Now, I'm sure low interest rates, the lock-in effect, has some impact on that. Now, this is something interesting in the last year. For recently sold homes, the final sales price was a median of 100% of the list price. So on average, in the last year, homes sold for what they were listed for. That's the mean, right? And that's the highest recorded mean in 22 years. Yeah, there you go. And on average, by the way, time on the market this year, the median was 3 weeks versus 2 weeks last year. It's a crazy market, crazy seller's market. All right, so 66% of sellers use an agent that was referred to them or use an agent they had worked with before. 81% said they only contacted one agent. That's it. First one in the door is the one that gets the deal. Here's what sellers place a priority on when they're using an agent. Number 1 is help market the home to potential buyers. 2 is price the home competitively. And 3 is sell it within the specific time frame. So there you go. I shared about 25% of the data points from the abstract. If you get the entire report, you're going to get a lot more. But I want to point out just some overall trends that are something to pay attention to. So the first thing is the average age of home buyers is getting older, and the average age of first home buyers is getting older. And so we need to maybe shift some of our marketing, some of our advice, some of our presentations. First-time home buyers are struggling to get into the market. We're seeing a significant drop. We saw they're going down to 24% of buyers. That's the lowest ever recorded, right? Now, this is what's interesting. The average down payment, I didn't share this when I was going through the data, but the average down payment is now 18%. The average down payment is 18%. And the average price of a home is $435,000. That means that the average down payment is $78,300. You want to know an interesting statistic? So the average down payment in the United States is $78,300, which is very close to the average annual earnings. The average annual income is $80,000, and the average down payment is $78,000. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I wonder if those are correlated. Very, very interesting. All cash buyers have a huge advantage. It's 26% of the market. And first-time home buyers are using either loans or gifts from family. Now, what all this screams and what we keep learning, and this is what the takeaway needs to be, is there's just an epidemic of misinformation surrounding buying a home. And buyers simply don't know that there's low down payment and down payment assistance programs to help them. And then in today's market, most markets, not all, but the sellers will accept lower down payment programs. Maybe not always DPA, but definitely lower down payment programs. Because as I talked about in a post last week, nearly half of home buyers think they have to put at least 20% down. Half. Like, we obviously aren't doing our job educating the public if half think they have to put 20% down. And only 1 in 7 buyers know that there are loan programs that allow 5% or less down payment. They just don't know. And so what we're seeing is because this lack of information is preventing first-time home buyers from getting into the market, because the number one obstruction to getting into the market is down payment. They don't have the down payment, and the down payment equals 1 year of earnings, which you, of course, would take longer because you have expenses against those earnings. But we have to get out there and just educate people. There's programs, and there's programs not only for help down payment, but help with affordability. So we have a lot of opportunity here. I hope you like this. If you like, go check out the profile, click through my notes below. Check out my LinkedIn if you want to get the highlights of this report. With that, go vote. Hopefully, we'll know who wins sooner than later. But regardless, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.